Dapat daw magkaisa ang mga bansa para labanan ang tumitinding epekto ng climate change at isa raw sa mga napupuruhan ng mga epekto nito, mismong Pilipinas. Ayon po yan kay dating US Vice President at environment activist na si Al Gore. Narito ang one-on-one interview ni Howie Severino kay Gore.
You did mention that 13 million Filipinos may need to be relocated to higher ground eventually.
And maybe more.
But what kind of urgent strategy should our government, especially our next president, adopt to enable our country to avoid this kind of scenario?
Well, there are two sets of policies. One is adaptation. How do you put in place sensible plans to manage what is unavoidable? But the second is, how do we avoid what is unmanageable? How do we prevent and mitigate the damage that would be done if we did nothing? And that is why the Paris Agreement is so important.
Because both industry and policymakers have been saying, well, the problem is the coal is still much more affordable than a lot of the
Yeah, but it's
renewals.
really not anymore. That perception, certainly you do hear that a lot. Yes, they do say that. But it's now out of date.
Should the fossil fuel industry, the oil companies, the coal companies, should they be compensating, especially the most vulnerable, the most affected countries?
Right now, there are investigations underway in the U.S. to determine whether or not some of these companies have committed fraud in falsely persuading people that the climate crisis is not real. And many are comparing what they've done to what the tobacco companies did for so long in spending lots of money. They hired actors and dressed them up as doctors so that they would look into the camera and pretend to be doctors, and they would reassure people that there were no health consequences to smoking cigarettes. It doesn't cause lung cancer. That was fraud, and they were held responsible.
I'm wondering, after several days in the Philippines, do you see a greater role for the country?
The biggest impression that Tacloban made on me was the resilience and the uplifting spirit of the people, the renewal, the determination to move forward. And that same spirit has been displayed to the world in the leadership the Philippines has provided, which I saw most recently in Paris in December. When I say the world has recognized the moral authority of the Philippines, not just because of what the Philippines has endured, but because of the advocacy and the leadership that the Philippines has provided.